Well, there's a lot of things about this that's to me powerful. One is the town, the picture of the town and what it was like at that point in time. And the other thing is the people. You can see the kind of dress that they had. I see one fellow here has a bicycle. There's horses and carriages in this picture. So it gives you a real powerful perspective of how the people lived and existed at that point in time.
In June 1893, in the small farming town of Hallsville, Missouri, the local blacksmith, a deaf man named William Morgenthaler, was informed his wife Ruth had just given birth to a boy. And while the sleepy town celebrated the arrival of its newest son, no one could have guessed the baby boy would someday become its most famous citizen, an acclaimed artist known throughout the nation and in Europe. But that is just what happened for Charles Albert Morgenthaler. Reflecting on his childhood, Charles used to say that he liked being where the action was. It may be hard to believe that Hallsville saw much action in the 1890s and the early 1900s, yet Charles was there at the scene of a rail train crash, drawing the tragic accident in pencil. He was also known to use early handheld cameras to photograph the local parades, a traveling circus, and local fires. At a young age, he was documenting every fascinating thing he saw, either with a photograph or with a pencil or a brush. After graduating from Columbia High School in 1913, he went straight to Kansas City to find work as a freelance artist. He returned in 1916 to take 1 year of art courses at the University of Missouri, and in 1917, Charles traveled to Chicago to study at the famed Art Institute. Before completing his first year, however, he chose to enlist in the Army to serve in World War I. And although Charles was assigned an aerial photographer's job and was about to be shipped off to Europe, the war suddenly ended, and he was able to return to his studies in Chicago and his childhood sweetheart, his wife, Teenie. In the early 1920s, he took a job as a surveyor and map maker with the Missouri Highway Department. He also began to design theatrical sets and theater interiors. After graduating from the Art Institute, the couple moved to St. Louis, which would become their home for many years. Charles produced paintings that would end up in the Masonic Temple in Kansas City, the Fox and Ambassador Theaters in St. Louis, and the Arrowhead Lodge in Osage, Missouri. He also drew more than 20 college yearbook covers, including the 1921 University of Missouri's Savitar. All through the Depression and World War II, Charles worked for several advertising firms while taking on freelance work illustrating books, pamphlets, and newspaper ads. He also created murals for several churches and businesses throughout the state. He was the consummate artistic and commercial professional in oils, watercolors, pencil, and charcoal. In 1946, Charles was one of only 6 American artists the USO asked to go to post-war Germany as a volunteer and sketch injured servicemen. He continued that work during and after the Korean conflict. By 1959, he had sketched over 1,400 servicemen and women. The USO would send the artwork to the parents of the service members, and on a few occasions, the sketch and letter from the USO would be the family's first news their son or daughter was still alive. In 1951, Charles was honored with the commission to restore the mural in the Missouri State Capitol's dome, and in 1959, he was asked to supervise the work of restoring the legendary Gettysburg cyclorama at the Gettysburg National Park. That work took 3 years to accomplish, and while he and Teenie lived in Gettysburg, he also painted backgrounds for several presidential figures in the Hall of Presidents. After a few happy years spent in Washington, Missouri, the couple moved to Columbia in 1966 for their retirement. Charles was referred to by art colleagues as a humble man, a pillar of the St. Louis art community, and a marvelous talent. The lifelong member of the Masonic Lodge and a charter member of the Post 202 of the Columbia American Legion, continued to paint and draw and enjoyed several exhibits of his work at the Columbia Art League. During this period and after Charles's death in 1980, many of his works went to the State Historical Society of Missouri, the University of Missouri's Museum of Art and Archaeology, and 120 of his drawings and sketches were donated to the Boone County Historical Society. Interestingly, there has been a decades-long debate about whether the family name is pronounced Morgenthaler or Morgenthaler. The German surname was thought to be pronounced as Morgenthaler up until the outbreak of World War II. However, it's said that the family patriarch William, the blacksmith, requested the family go by Morgenthaler to avoid the discrimination and hate that went with possessing a German name at that time. But when the war concluded, some in the family returned to the original pronunciation, while others clung to Morgenthaler. To this day, there are prominent family members who refer to themselves as Morgenthaler, while most of the population of Hallsville know the family as Morgenthalers. It's a testament to the legacy Charles left that he is only the third visual artist to be enshrined in the Boone County Hall of Fame, joining Sabra Tolmeyer and George Caleb Bingham. Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed friends, please welcome into the Boone County Hall of Fame, Charles A. Morgenthaler.